Hello and welcome to the Gaming Age. I'm your host, Nicholas Gerger, and today I'm joined by 4 Tribeca Flashpoint game design students. Let's just go around really quickly and introduce everyone.
I'm Phil Pecoraro. I'm in game production and art.
I'm Sam Sandoval. I'm in game design.
I'm Eve Silberman, and I'm in programming and art.
I'm John Hayden, and I'm in programming.
Fantastic. So we've got a pretty good group going right now. A lot of eclectic interests and pretty broad range of topics that we want to discuss today. First on the docket is the game ratings issues going on right now. I hear there's some news coming out of California. What are you guys' thoughts on this?
Well, I know in California the Supreme Court is hearing a case right now that will make it illegal for distributors to sell games to sell M-rated games, which is from games rated M for mature, to people that are under the age of 18. And a lot of people are saying that it's a violation of First Amendment rights.
So what's the big issue? I mean, what's the ratings system name?
ESRB.
RB, and they control the content that is put in the games is based on the ratings itself. So if it's mild language or explicit violence, I mean, what's the line developers really have to walk here?
Well, the ESRB uses a two-part rating system where they assign a letter to a game, basically everything from E from everyone to M, or AO for adults only, and then they have the specifics of what the game was rated for listed right under it. And the FTC just recently did a study that showed 87% of parents are familiar with the ESRB ratings and know what they are, which makes the Supreme Court case all the more absurd. There already is a rating system in place. Stores already don't carry the highest, most explicit games. It really seems to me, if you look at the transcript of the oral arguments that happened a few weeks ago, it seems like the Supreme Court's only hearing this case to put a stop to all cases like this, because these pop up every year, usually on a statewide basis. It seems like they just want to stop wasting resources and just get it over with.
Now, I understand this group might have a bias because everyone's gamers here, but do you really feel it's the purview of the court system to decide what parents should or should not be able to buy for their kids? I mean, I'm not saying 5-year-olds should be given Grand Theft Auto so they can go around and shoot people, but isn't there, that suspension of disbelief? It's a game, it's not really real. Are parents really worried about the kids acting on these kind of things?
Well, I do understand the fear that people see in games. I mean, games are completely unique. I mean, the reason I love games is the same reason I could see the fear being there. I mean, the same reason Sam loves them is that it's this new storytelling medium that's really the flagship of our technological revolution, because it's something that's not only new but wasn't even possible 30 years ago. So I understand the fear, and if there was science to support there being any damaging harm to kids from video games, even a single credible survey, then maybe that'd be something to look at. But there has not been a single unbiased, fair study done by someone without an agenda that showed that games cause harm to children. And this is just fear-mongering, and it's bizarre.
Very true, and I think the key issue here is information made available to the parents? Can they make informed decisions about what their kids should and should not play? And under the current ESRB ratings, like that information is made available to parents on the back of the box. It should not be illegal for kids to be able to play these games as long as parents have that information. And right now, stores like Walmart, stores like GameStop, under this California law, they're going to be fined up to $1,000 for every violation of this law, and that might convince big chains like Walmart to stop carrying mature-rated games altogether, and that's in turn is going to influence what kind of content developers are actually going to put into their games. So this is going to affect the gaming industry in a big way if this law is passed. So
I think an important thing to remember is M-rated games, they're like R-rated movies. M-rated isn't the highest tier of content. And could you imagine if we lived in a world where all R-rated movies were strictly banned? Effectively, that would lose The Graduate, American Beauty, American History X, some of the greatest films of all time. Pretty much every great film of our time is in the R-rated category.
Hangover.
Yeah, because the great films and great works of art deal with complex issues that aren't for a young audience. And if we ban games, there are games out there like BioShock and Fallout 3, and there's so many amazing games that are mature and touch on some really important subjects. And banning those would just be I don't know, it would be un-American.
Now, I remember one Christmas, I had an N64 and I wanted Perfect Dark, and my mom wouldn't buy it for me. And I felt like my world was crushed. Now, I don't consider myself a gamer, but I thought the game was cool. It had awesome graphics. I liked the guns, the explosions, stuff like that. And she bought me James Bond, but I wasn't allowed to play Perfect Dark. I mean, do you see a distinction between those kind of games? Not specifically those two, but in that kind of shooter realm, or if it's massive multiplayer online, or if it's just an RPG. I mean, is it the rating of the game that's most important, or is it the story and the message that the game's trying to convey that really should be more important?
Well, I think a lot of games have more mature stories, but the story usually isn't the only part of the game that is important, and a person can play the game for the gameplay itself and not just the story. So even if the story is more mature, then the gameplay is more important for the rating, I think.
All right, the question number 2, let's segue into mobile gaming. PlayStation is going to be releasing a phone soon. You've got the iPhone and the iPad, both juggernauts in the mobile gaming industry right now. Where is this going, and why is it going that way?
Well, the mobile gaming industry has been on a really drastic rise in the past few years, and I personally only see it going up with the iPhone development like skyrocketing, and recently with the Windows 7 phone coming out, which is very friendly for really popular platforms like XNA and Silverlight development. It's going to make it really, really easy for people who want to make games to go out and make them. Like, it was really hard a few years ago. There wasn't the XNA Creators Club or anything, but now you can just hop online and teach it to yourself. So I think, as time goes on, and we're seeing it now with the Windows 7 phone and even Apple, is there are things coming out that really facilitate the creation of games.
And it's going to help independent gamers out, or independent game developers out a lot, because the barrier to entry isn't so big. You don't need a publisher to get on the iPhone. You don't need a publisher to get on the Android market. It just makes the barrier to entry so much lower, and it's fostering a lot of creative game development.
If you look at the top sold games on the iPhone marketplace, they really are a bastion of creativity. You'd expect them to just be simple bubble popping games or whatever, but really those are games that you don't see anywhere else, and they really do innovate on those platforms, and it's really great to see. I would not have predicted that.
It also really opens up the market to a bigger demographic. Like previously, video games are more of a niche market, and opening it up to platforms like iPhone and stuff like that, it allows more women and people that aren't usually considered gamers to usually actually play games.
So there's a little bit of a taboo.
Yeah,
When we
I guess
don't
there's a
wanna
stereotype of what video game players are, and in this case, women really enjoy simple games that are from iPhone and other platforms like that too.
Now, obviously, you have 3G network as the standard right now. Verizon just launched their 4G LTE network about a week ago. How are expanding technologies like social networking or maybe even 3D graphics going to be integrated into the mobile gaming platform?
Well, continually, like you mentioned before, that that PlayStation is actually making a PlayStation phone now. People aren't going to want to carry multiple devices in their pockets. They're not going to want to carry their game system plus their phone plus their MP3 player. So we're going to continue to see a blending of these devices. So as PlayStation supports like Google phones and Android phones and things like that, we're going to see better technologies integrated into the handheld market, so they could support technology like 3D or more complex hardware. So we're only going to see it skyrocket in terms of like what handheld gaming and cell phone gaming is capable of.
And on the note of social networking and being integrated into games, and this is mostly prevalent with iPhone and all the mobile handheld market, is those are actually being built into the design of the games. Like when you complete an objective in a game, it'll upload that notification right to your Facebook. And that's just a built into the game way to market the game even more. So it's a great way to support the marketing of the game, as well as it's just addictive for players.
The one recent game that pops out in memory would be Farmville.
Yes.
And you're describing that. Now, was Farmville the main catalyst in that kind of gaming marketing, or was it done before, just on a smaller level? I really didn't see it all that much.
That's definitely the first one that just was a huge explosion. It was definitely done a little before, but absolutely, that was the one that catapulted it to the front in front of everybody to see.
You guys are all cultivating your farms, getting ready for the harsh winter season.
No.
But I have to admit, we have gotten bit by the social gaming bug. At least Sam and I have, because we've even at Flashpoint, a large group of the student body got addicted to Facebook Tetris recently, and the only reason that was because we could see our friends' high score, so it became a giant competition. So this social aspect of gaming is obviously a huge important part of the gaming industry, and it just makes it that much more addictive.
Fantastic. Well, on to question number 3. I understand you four, with another co-collaborator, co-conspirator perhaps, are involved in a gaming team here at Tribeca Flashpoint. You guys want to tell us a little bit about that, where it started and where you guys are going?
That's really your guys' area of expertise.
Okay, well, last year before we started at Flashpoint, like we all sort of came separately and we were looking to sort of find our niche, find where we fit in. And me, Sam, and Walter, we all found each other and realized that we had a similar taste in games, similar idea of what a game should be, how it should tell a very important story. So we started making a text adventure. We aren't programmers, so we were very limited with what could accomplish. We met John and realized that he sort of had a mind for programming, so we brought him on board. A couple minutes later, Eve's a very talented artist, so we brought her on board. And immediately we started coming up with really what we feel are unique game designs. Game designs that tell a deep story while at the same time providing compelling gameplay. So we started, we brought a project into class, Game Studio 2 last term called Little Folk. That was sort of like our testing ground to really sort of hone our craft, figure out what we wanted to do, what we're capable of. And from there, we came up with this game design, this game called Duality, where it's basically about it's a creation myth. It's a story about the creation of the human soul, the creation of the universe. And so we started fostering this idea and building it up and working on it outside of school. We actually recently entered the game into the Activision Independent Games competition, and we just found out that we're in the top 5 out of the contest is open to the whole nation. So there were hundreds and hundreds of other game developers entering. We found out this game design is going to be in the top 5. So we're waiting to hear back whether we're going to win or not. But we definitely, whether we do win or not, we hope to bring the game to market because we think it's a really neat story that just needs to be told. It's a fun game, and we're having a great time building it.
One thing that I think really helped us as far as fostering our creativity and really honing our craft, because if you were to look at the difference between our first game and Duality, it's a night and day difference as far as quality is concerned. We took this really as a job, not as a student group. Over the summer we met 5 days a week, about 9 to 10 hours a day, depending on how the workload was, and we really honed our craft. It's really insane how far we've come in such a short time.
What do you bring in terms of visual art to the game, and how do you work with the programmers and are you part of the story process in the beginning, or is it mainly art for you?
Well, in the beginning, everyone in Blue Jay kind of gets together and we all discuss the very broad topics involving design, but after that it goes off to the design team, and what the team of artists, which is myself, Phil, and Walter, we create concept art and then we decide from there. Everyone pretty much makes their idea of what something should look like, and then we'll decide what parts of each thing to choose. And I'm actually the technical artist, so John makes a lot of programming things for the artists to use, and I show them how to work with that and combine the two together.
Fantastic. And you make copies, right?
No, yes, no. I'm the designer on the team. So like as Eve said, at the beginning of the process, we all get together for an overarching design meeting. But after that, John and I, and mostly myself because John is busy programming, is more intricate like level designs. We have the story that we all came up with, but then there's level designs, game flow, and how things kind of work together. So what I'm more focused on is the end product, and while everybody is doing the art or the programming.
Fantastic. And I guess we probably should say on record, its name of the company is Blue Jay Games?
Blue Jay Games, yeah.
Blue Jay Games, okay. I don't know if we caught that in the beginning, but. All right, well, thanks Phil, Sam, Eve, John, everybody for their time. I'm Nick Erger. This is The Gaming Age. Thank you for joining us.